Seemingly out of nowhere, Chris Buescher has become the hottest driver in NASCAR as he wins back-to-back events, taking Richmond last week and then the rain-delayed Michigan feature win. So it's back-to-back wins for RFK Racing, and Chris Buescher now maybe being considered as a little bit of a dark horse in the NASCAR championship run. Let's hear what he had to say.
It's really close to getting us there at one point, and just had to keep digging on it. So just really proud of everybody. That was it's awesome to put our Castro Edge Mustang here in Victory Lane in Michigan. And but yeah, we got road races coming up. I'm excited for those.
Big thanks to the Motor Racing Network for the audio there of Chris Buescher in Victory Lane at Michigan. And he had to outduel one of the best over the last few laps of the race, Alexis Erickson and Martin Truex Jr.
Yeah, it looked like it might be another Martin Monday, as the race ran on Monday. And he seems to be very good at those. He had a very fast car pretty much all race. But then when it came down to the very end, he just could not get by Chris Buescher. He had one opportunity where he looked like he was going to make it happen, bobbled a little bit, had to get out of the gas, and then charged back up with about 2 or 3 laps to go, but just never could make that clean pass. And Chris Buescher got win number 2 back-to-back. Very, very impressive for that team.
Jeff Hammond, it's amazing. You can race for 400 miles, and Martin Truex Jr. had a perfect race going, but one little miscue, one little slip, and makes the difference between winning and second place.
Yeah, it does, Doug. And I think, all of you who were out there who possibly watched the race like we did, it looked like Martin was in a good position to make a pass, ran up on a slow car. And again, it shows the intelligence that right now that Buescher has. He was able to use that slow car and the air, the dirty air and everything like that to put the 19 car, Martin Truex Jr. in an awkward position, and the car broke loose. I mean, it slid a little bit. He had to get out of the throttle, and that was pretty about summed up the one last charge to try to get around the 17 car.
And we're going to talk more about this team, but Alexis, now people know who Chris Buescher is. They may have only kind of been aware of this guy because he had only won 2 races coming into the year, a rain-shortened race, and then last year the Bristol night race, but now you've got to pay attention.
I was going to say, yeah, if they don't know who he is yet, they need to find out, because he's certainly somebody who is putting on a show. I mean, I never would have guessed that we would have 2 Chris Buescher wins back-to-back. Obviously, we have seen, the improvements that RFK Racing has made over this season, and there's no doubt that they are trending upward and continue to trend upward. And then we get 2 back-to-back wins. You have teammate and team owner Brad Keselowski also with really great finishes. He is also, I believe, on the verge or the cusp of getting his very own win this season. So, yeah, you have to look at them, and you have to almost look at them as maybe, the top 4 team right now, too.
We're going to dissect that here in a little bit, because I think there's an argument to be made. Jeff Hammond, I know that Brad Keselowski's putting on the happy face about this because his name is on that team, RFK. The K stands for Keselowski. But do you think he's having to force a little bit of a smile, knowing, okay, 2 times in a row, my teammate has won. I'm not there yet.
Well, I like what he said in his post-race interview. He talked about, they started out, they were worried about points. I mean, he's, right there on the edge, but not about to fall off of it. But he wants to make sure that they get both cars in the playoffs. Now that Chris had already won Richmond, I know they were probably, racing a little bit smart. And he said they gave up maybe a little bit of speed in the car to make sure they ran consistently all day long. And then all of a sudden they were able to dial the car in with the racetrack, the way it changed. And he said, man, I wish we could have, had that knowledge. We could have raced a little different. So I think he's got that confidence right now, Doug. Yes, it's frustrating, but at the same time, it's encouraging to know that your name on a Roush Fenway organization like this is not disappointing.